Do you have any thoughts on abortion? What do you think? What do you think about abortion? First.
You see, this topic of abortion, I have seen it in too many lights.
Okay. What?
I've,
Okay.
people have explained it to me in such a way that, okay, let's say someone was raped and at the end of it all they got pregnant, that
Yeah.
obviously you don't know who the father of the child is. It's not better to abort the child and all. Another situation whereby you check the genes of the child and you see, oh, the child will have some serious health issues, and just
Mhm.
decide to abort the child so that the child does not come to this earth to just be suffering on drugs and everything. And I've also seen it in
Right.
the light that, oh, it is not good to also kill. It is only God that gives life and can take life. So you as a
Mhm.
person, you as a human being, don't have the right to kill or to to kill, to take life from
Yeah.
somebody. And so basically, I've just been in the middle. I genuinely don't have a stand anywhere.
Okay.
Basically, yeah.
All right. I mean that's fair. That's fair. But I think conversations like this, especially when it comes to a Christian perspective, yeah, we need to think because there are a lot of nuances. And when I say nuances, there are a lot of case scenario like questions that come up when we converse about abortion. Some people we go to some places and some people are saying, oh, the right of a woman over her own body, right? The woman should have bodily autonomy. So she should be able to do anything with whatever it's inside her stomach. So they say, okay, they should give the women a right to abortion during pregnancy. You know, it doesn't matter during the pregnancy, despite the fact that the child might be healthy or not, despite anything, the child has to go depending on whether the woman wants it or not. Right. There's that conversation. There's another conversation on the advocacy for pregnancy to say, oh, they should not let an evil like rape, doing things to maybe a child. They bring these extreme scenarios up. There's an extreme scenario where a 9-year-old got raped, and then the 9-year-old, would if the 9-year-old keep the baby, it would first of all alter her future, maybe her education and career. There's that. There's number two, alter her body. There's trauma. Number three, emotional baggage. All of those things, right? What happens in terms of you? And there's the third one, the one that you also mentioned, which they would say things like, what if the child is going to be disabled or is going to be in pain? Why not? Don't we just have the mercy in and of ourselves to let the child go easy before it's conscious and going to experience any pain, you know? And if there is that, those conversations exist. But then the truth is, you know, there's a conversation that we now need to have first as Christians, that this idea, do we have any basis for it in the Word of God? Because I believe that, well, not in all cases, but I believe that there is something that the Word of God has to say about societal issues, about most parts of our lives, about every part of our lives. Actually, there's something that the Word of God has to say about it. And what does the Bible say? That's number one. And then number two, the arguments that are being brought up, do they match up to what are they? Number one, are they actually true? Are they reasonable? Are they logical? Right? And we then look at, okay, if they are logical, if they are reasonable, if they are true, do they match up to what we already believe? And this is why I'm saying this, because the baseline for abortion is first of all to understand that this person that is being killed, right? If this person that is being, because abortion, have you seen, Ruth, before I go out, there are videos on abortion, on how abortion is done. Do you at any point have seen maybe something like that before? Maybe the process of abortion, how it is done. Have you seen something like that before?
Not really, but I've read articles on abortion, but I've not seen how it is done. Like I've not watched videos, but I've read articles on how it is. I've heard of stories from people in the hospital, people that do it,
Mhm.
people that people that shall do it like at home, people that do
Yeah.
it in the hospital. But basically, I've not actually seen or watched any video of how they did it.
Okay. Now there are conversations, there are videos online you can watch. You can go to liveaction.com to see how abortion is done. The first trimester abortion, second trimester abortion, third trimester abortion on liveaction.com. Some of let me just, let's just go on. Man of God, damn it, we're talking about abortion right now. All right. But then some of these, I lost my train of thought. Jesus help me. So first of all, there comes the argument. There's another one that people don't, that talking about the arguments for abortion. I would say it's just a clump of cells. It's not a human being yet. Have you heard those things before? It's just a clump of cells. It's not a human being yet until it comes out. It's not live. It's not a person. It's just a fetus. It's an embryo. It's a zygote growing, and those kind of things. But then the science of it disagrees, because when people say, "Oh, it's just a bunch of cells," do you know what else is a bunch of cells? Me, I'm also a bunch of cells. You are also a bunch of cells. The difference between me and a fetus in the womb is stage of development. I guess what I'm saying. I'm 20 something years old. The fetus is probably some days old. Ruth, I guess what I'm saying. The difference between me and the
Yeah.
fetus is just is age difference. Because I am also a clump. I'm made up of cells, right? Of course, my cells have now diverged and specialized. So I have my blood cells separate from my skin cells, from my eye cells, from my hair cells. I have different cells that are specialized at the level of growth that I am in. But the fetus that is just um conceived, right? That just got fertilized and they're attached to the mother's womb, um uterine lining, that is the inside of the womb, is also human. And what do we define by human, right? A human being is someone. A human being would be, how do I explain this now? I would say that the definition for a human being would be someone who is wholly, who wholly who wholly carries what a human being. That seems like a secular definition, because I'm using human being in a human being. A human being is Homo sapien, right? Regardless, this is what I'm trying to say. A human being is a human being regardless of the stage of development that they are in. Whether it is a fist-sized child or fetus in the mother's womb, or a 6'3" adult male outside of his mother's womb. I guess what I'm saying. And if the conversation of the human being is made from the Christian perspective, as I started with, human being is made in the image of God. If the human being is made in the image of God, that human being has value, whether in the womb or outside of the womb. Whether in the womb or outside of the womb. So it's just a clump of cells. It's not. Because if you say, oh, it's just a clump of cells, it's really the other things that are clumps of cells are adults, developed, specialized cell carrying human beings like us. We're also clumps of cells. Our cells are just specialized. Now, in fact, there are some specializations that even goes on, of course, before the baby comes out. In the early weeks of the pregnancy, there are specializations in cells that are well carrying on by then. So, but the what we see, the conversation on abortion, many times it tries to degrade, it tries to water down, to euphemize the value of the life that is being taken. So it's not a baby, it's a clump of cells. It's not a human being yet. It's just, it's just a fetus. But fetus, do you know what fetus means? Fetus means small baby. It's Latin. The word fetus is derived from the Latin word meaning small baby, and that fetus, it means small baby. So you saying it is a fetus, or them saying it not, so that I not think I'm attacking you. Them saying it is a fetus is actually um and agreeing to the fact that it is a human being. And if it's a human being, why don't so if we have established that okay, the baby in the womb at any point of development, whether it's just a 8 cell structure, I don't remember the medical term for that now, or it's 14 weeks or 24 weeks, it is a human being. The difference between me and the 8 cell structure, or the I still don't remember the name, or the 14 weeks fetus, or the 24 weeks fetus is age. That's the difference, and location. Age and location. I'm older and I'm outside my older's womb. The young fetus is younger and inside his or her mother's womb. That's the difference between us both. That's the difference. So the conversation, watering down the essence, and I'm not, I'll go on. I'm not speaking about I will still talk about them, but right now you notice I've not started talking about the rape conversation, because those things are valid. The rape conversations, and we'll talk about them to nation them out. The rape conversation, the what else? The sick conversation. What if he's disabled? What if the baby is gonna be disabled when he or she comes out? The some people, there's another conversation that I did not even mention, the money conversation. Oh, the parents will not be able to take care of the baby. What if the baby is going to suffer? It still comes under it's related to the sickness one, because the idea is the baby is going to suffer to come to the world, right? God help me. Yeah, right. The baby is going to suffer when it comes to the world. Those things are understandable, not understandable enough for abortion, and I will talk about it, but like those things are real issues is what I mean. All right, those things happen to people. But then the reason why I'm starting here explaining that, see, this baby, the fetus, what they call a clump of cells in the womb, is valuable. That's why I'm starting, because at the base of the foremost argument for abortion, at the basis of the foremost argument for abortion, is the idea that this fetus, this clump of cells, does not have value. So they try to delude humans, they try to delude the populace that this thing is not a human being, because there is the conscience that most people, that everybody carries, that this thing, if I want to, like, oh, let me say most people, because some people are psychos, that people carry, that say, oh, I should not be doing this amount of harm to another human being. All right, I should not, and maybe let me give an explanation, a brief explanation, because maybe I was thinking of, should I show the video here, but it's going to be very graphic, and I'm posting this on YouTube. I don't know if YouTube will take down my video or not, so it's going to be very graphic. But when you try to think about it, the process of abortion, first of all, they go through the woman's body, where the baby will come out, so the vaginal canal, and they take clamps, right? Clamps that have think of a clamp, but with probably sharp edges around the mouth. Insert it. Of course, they can't actively see where the baby, or the whole part of the baby, right? And what they do with those clamps is they attach it to, and they do it blindly, so they don't see, but they attach it to any part of the baby, so they insert it through the woman, they attach it to they try to feel around to feel for a baby, they attach it to any part of the baby, and they pull it out. They don't pull the baby out as a whole. So if you look at maybe the surgical trays that they used to carry out abortion process, you'll see one arm, one hand, one arm, so they put in the clamps, they pull out a arm, they drop it, they pull out a leg, they drop it, they pull out the body. And of course, for the baby, the head is one of the biggest part of the baby. When you think about vaginal birth, right, you see that the head is one of the hardest part to bring out. So because of that, the clamp, they first of all use it to crush the head. So think of a big clamp on my head now. If I'm the baby, they crush it first into small pieces so that they will able to bring it out. Right. And there are videos that you see, maybe from an X-ray, that you see that this baby sometimes is actually trying to run away from the from the clamp because it's feeling pain. I don't know if I'm painting some pictures in your mind right now. Because the baby is trying to like adjust not to be get clamped in the mother's womb. If you go at live action, they have some of these videos. Liveaction.org. You know, if the baby is trying to avoid the clamp because it's feeling pain. And this is the same baby that people will say is not alive yet, it's not a human being yet. Come on now. So think about how gory the abortion process is. They dismember the baby, take away the arm, take away the leg, take away it from the body, take away crush the head with the brains and everything, then bring it about piece by piece. And then they look at their okay, is every part complete before they say, oh, everything is good to go. That is how gory many of these abortion things are. And of course, this thing, maybe, if you were like me, when I was hearing this thing before when I was hearing, I was being told some of these things, right? Because I think I watched the video and then months after, somebody was not telling me, I think it was conversation, I think it was in church, pastor was saying it. I was not imagining this all over again. I was like, I don't know how to explain it. You know that feeling when you're thinking of something very graphic and you are feeling it in your body? I was feeling it. Now, some people might not be able to, you are feeling it so Abi Ruth. This is something that a lot of people might not be able to do to another person. Like, think about it. When I was being told, or maybe if somebody watching this video, you guys that are here now, as I was explaining this thing, you are probably feeling in your body that this is too gory, right? This is something wired in you called conscience. All right. And this would allow you to do a level of, how do I say this now? This would not allow you to do a level of harm to another human being. Why? Because as you are feeling it in your body now, you know it is wrong to be done. I guess what I'm saying. So okay, I'm doing it to another. If I'm doing it to another human being now, I mean, we can do it to something else. We can do it to an animal. Many people maybe seeing this video will have probably seen where they have dismembered maybe a chicken, turkey, maybe a goat, for example, and you do not feel anything. Why? Because that is suya. That is meat. Are you with me now? Right? It is not a human being. But if it comes to another human being and such things are being done, we feel it. Why? Because this person is made in the image of God. And whether you believe in God or not, there's something called a conscience in all of us. There's something called that. And we can now see that many of the arguments for abortion today are always trying to water down this value that we have for human beings. Or because we know that everybody has a value for human beings, they now try to shift the narrative that this person or the things that we are doing to fetuses and babies in the womb, they are not human beings now. They are not different than our chicken. They are no different than the goats that we kill and celebrate. Are you getting what I'm saying? They are no different than these guys. They are no different. Guys, I guess what I'm saying. So they water it down, they reduce the value. And that is why many people are thronging into abortion, because they don't know what it is like. Because they don't know, and they don't have the right view for human life, or they don't even see the people affected as human beings. And this is where I want to start from. That this is the baseline for abortion. Is if killing is murder wrong, is going to unlawfully and unjustly take another human being's life wrong. Is that wrong? Right? Is that right or wrong to do? The question is, do I have the right to unjustly take another person's life? That is the question. And if the answer to that is no, then abortion will be wrong. Why? Because the people affected, the children, the babies in the womb, are human beings. Come on, am I making sense so far? I'll still talk about the rape thing. But the baseline, the idea, the foundation is killing another human being is wrong, and it will always be wrong. Or let me rephrase. Unjustly killing an innocent human being is wrong and would always be wrong. Killing an innocent human being unjustly is wrong and would always, regardless of the circumstance, regardless of anything. Let's set that foundation first. Because if murder is always going to be wrong, like it's innocently killing another human being, then then the same principle has to be applied to abortion, regardless of the situation. It is hard to take sometimes, but it can be taken. It is hard to take sometimes, but this is the truth. And we see this again from the believer's perspective. The child in the womb, if regardless of 1 day or 24 weeks, is in the image of God. Is in the image of God. And that is the idea that we first of all need to start, because in the conversation, we come to conversation and then they are always trying to immediately bring up, okay, what about rape, what about that? But that is not the entirety. It's not even the majority of the conversation on abortion. And this is what I mean. Statistically speaking, the reason why people go to get abortions is significantly not affected. When I say, and I'll explain, significantly not affected by rape, is significantly not affected by incest, is significantly not affected by what other things? Jesus help me. It's significantly not affected by the life of the mother or the child being in danger. That's another thing for abortion. It's significantly, not affected by the life of the mother and the child being in danger. Is significantly not affected by any of those things. Sorry, I want to share this so that more people can maybe join us. Give me a second. What was I saying? No, so that I will not lose my train of thoughts. Give me 1 second. All right. Now, it's this the majority of the conversation is not because whether the mother's life or the child's life are in danger, or the mother's life is in danger. It's not because of rape. It's not because of all of those things. And this is what I mean. There are statistics if you check out there. One was done in the 90s, or is it in the 80s, and another one was done in the early 2000s. They were taking, the reasons why people who came for abortion. All right. And less than 1%. I didn't say 1%. I mean, in the total amount of people who came for abortion, less than 1% of the people who did abortion in those two surveys were related to rape. Another less than 1% was related to the life of the mother or the child is in danger. And of course, if that was the conversation then, high favor, if that was the conversation back then, the conversation today would even be sorry, if those were the numbers back then, the numbers today would significantly, the margin would be larger, because many people are thronging into abortion today. There are laws that are legalizing it both in America and the UK and other parts of the world. Are you guessing what I'm saying? What I'm saying is, statistically speaking, the conversation on abortion today has nothing to do with, is it rape, or the life of the mother and the child are in danger. It has nothing to do with those things, statistically speaking. What I'm saying is, the people who go for abortion, less than 1%. Do you know what 1% is? Less than, take the whole number divided by 100, is less than that. It's less than that. Less than 1% are the people. In fact, it's about 0.1% or 0.2%, if not even less than that. I don't have the exact numbers, but it's around those numbers. So the conversation on abortion is not, it has nothing to do with it. People just maybe don't have value for life and want to get rid of the pregnancy. Are you guess what I'm saying? And of course, many people would also have other reasons like, oh, maybe I can't take care of the child, maybe there's disability. All of those conversations would come to those things. All right, but let's take them one by one. But the conversation is just that rape is wrong. I say rape, of course, rape is wrong, but what we're talking about, abortion is wrong. Abortion is going to be always wrong. Why is it wrong? Because the person, the baby in the womb, is a human being, and human beings are made in the image of God, and being made in the image of God gives us value. I'm not valuable because there's anything about me. The reason why I'm valuable is because I'm made in the image of God. I guess it. And the baby in the womb, whether it's 1 day old after conception or 24 weeks after conception, is in the image of God as well. That baby is imago Dei. Is in the image of God. And that is what makes abortion wrong. Why is abortion wrong? Because I cannot go take a gun and shoot another human being unlawfully. That is murder. And if that is now going to be a reason for me not to do abortion, then so if that's a reason for me not to kill another human being because the human being has value and I'm unjustly taking their life and taking away their right to life, then I can't take away the right to life of a baby, whether or not they are in the womb. Whether or not they are in the womb. Right? Because that baby has value. That baby is imago Dei. That baby is imago Dei. That baby is imago Dei. Now, let's now go on. Let's have conversations now on things like the conditions for abortion, or what are the arguments, what are the things that people bring up concerning abortion. There's a conversation on maybe I can't carry the duties or the responsibilities that come with having a child. But then so I don't have enough money, I happen to be pregnant, but people don't happen to be pregnant. There are activities that precede pregnancies. Are you with me now? I'm not talking about rape here, so don't think rape. I mean the willful knowing activities, the sweating activities. Praise God. That leads to a pregnancy. So people don't, it's not like a cold. You don't catch a pregnancy, right? It's not kata, it's not malaria, you don't catch it. So you got pregnant, but then you now realize that you don't have the resources. The question will now be, does that problem validate taking another person's life? I guess what I'm saying. Because if we convert this same idea to another scenario, we'll see that it is wrong. Because think about it, I am, God forbid, but let's imagine I get to a point where I get very, very, very low financially. I look to the left, nothing. I look to the right, nothing. God, I beg, or no, God forbid. But then I have nothing for me. I have nothing going on for me. I don't have any money. And then I say, you know what? I'm going to enter a bank, but not to deposit money, not to withdraw. I'm going to wear a mask and carry a gun. And anybody that tries to stop me, I'll take their life. Now, that is me taking another human being. And what will that be called? I'll be charged for two things. Number one, armed robbery and murder. Abby, guys, respond to me. Yes or yes? I'll be charged with two things, armed robbery and murder. But why is that wrong? How is that different from what I just described? That, oh, you want to take the baby's life because you don't have money to take care of it. It's because the same principles apply in both scenarios. In both scenarios, I don't have money. And in both scenarios, killing another human being would save me from my predicament. Guys, are you getting me? Killing another human being will save me from my predicament in both scenarios. Or blood money, for example, that also fits. That also fits. There are many things that fit that idea, but the other things that we know that fit those principles, we say that it is wrong. Why is it different when it comes to a baby? Why is the principle all of a sudden different when it comes to abortion? Now, I cannot kill another, I cannot, come and carry a gun and kill, say Emmanuel just joined us, and kill Emmanuel now because I want to use him for money. That would be wrong. We agree that that is wrong. But how is that different when it comes to the conversation on, oh, I don't have money to take care of the baby, so let me abort it? How is it different? It's the same. Because the baby, again, is in the image of God and is valuable as well, just like Emmanuel that is walking outside of his mother's home. Hi, Emmanuel, how are you doing? Come on, guys, are you with me? Are you guys what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Thank
sir. We
you.
are with
Yeah.
you.
Thank you, Favor. So you get the reason why. Hi, Emmanuel. You get the reason why I said the foundation of a value for a baby, right? First, because we go on to the next one. Maybe guys try to remind me of any scenario that I missed because I want to try to touch every scenario possible. Let's go to the next one. Where it goes to say things like, I want to talk about rape and the life of the mother and the child last. What's other ones before those other two? Is there any other one? Of course, we know that just willy-nilly taking the life of the baby just because I don't want the baby will be out of the window. Because I don't say, oh, I'll be called a psycho if I just say I'm gonna kill people just because, or a serial killer just because I just want to. I just don't want them to be living anymore. Right? The principles would apply. We'll talk about, maybe we'll talk about the idea of the baby is going to, the let me let's go on to let's talk about this idea, the rape one. Rape is bad. Rape is evil, right? Rape is a very grave evil. Rape should not be condoned. Sometimes I think about rape and I think of capital punishments. Is because come on now, come on. I'm If I start talking about rape, I'll get worked up. I'll be very animated. Hi, Cecilia. I'll be very animated. Mute your mic, please, Cecilia. Thank you. Unless you want to say something, I'll be very animated because what do you mean there was a rape festival? Am I talking to somebody now? What do you mean people are validating rape and what did she wear? Come on now. Oh, let me just going on to the idea of rape. Rape is wrong. Rape, I think, should have capital punishment. I believe so. I think it's degrading a human being. The same thing as what murder does. Our murder gets capital punishment in many places. I believe so. I mean, that's me. I speak as a man. Right. Rape is wrong. Rape should not be condoned. Why? Because rape also belittles the human being. All right, but going on from it because that's not the focus on the idea. But if somebody wants us to talk about rape after, bring it up. I'm available. All right, we'll talk about it. But sorry, yeah. But rape is wrong. Rape is evil, especially of course, it's evil in all cases. But then the case that usually brought up when we talk about this conversation on abortion is what about if a 9-year-old is raped or a 10-year-old is raped? Do you think the 10-year-old should still carry the baby, thinking that the carrying the baby would cause emotional trauma, physical trauma to the baby? Her body is not sorry to the girl, to the 10-year-old or a 9-year-old girl or the 11 young girl, because our body is not yet developed to nurse a child, to welcome a baby into this world. I think about the emotional and the psychological trauma, because the girl might not be able to go to school anymore, might not be able to follow her career anymore, might not be able to be a beneficial member of the society anymore because of the baby. And do you know something? I agree with all of those things. All of those things are true. The girl's body might not be able to take or accept the baby yet, so most of the pregnancy might be in pain or very much uncomfortable. Pregnancy, even for adults, is uncomfortable, not to talk of a 9-year-old. I guess what I'm saying. The pain might be a lot. The trauma, physical trauma, emotional trauma, psychological trauma, because a 9-year-old that is, when I was 9, I was thinking about school assignments and now I'm going to play after exams are over. That's what I was thinking about. right? I didn't have any problem. The only problem I had was somebody was gossiping about me in GS1. That was the only problem I had at or primary 4. That was the only problem I had at 9 years old. Any other thing could come in. It's not my business. Now, imagine at that stage, right? Because primary 4 to GS1 was like in private school. Imagine, although I jump class, but think of the idea of that kind of a person that is not mentally developed to even be, he's still a baby. He's not welcoming a baby. I guess what I'm saying. The person is still a baby. There is going to be a lot of trauma. It's going to significantly affect that person's life, right? Because the person, she is young. She's not ready to accept life yet. Because the thing that, the father of the child, that is the person that raped the girl, the 9-year-old or 10-year-old girl, God forbid, oh God, I beg, keep my children when I have them. God, I beg you. Because it is grievous. So concerning abortion, concerning rape, rather, the rape is a very terrible matter, especially when it comes to a young child. Is a very terrible matter. What is even on the 9-year-old? Oh, what's even weird that you are even attracted to in a 9-year-old? I said if I start talking about rape, my blood will be hot. What is there with the 9-year-old that you are attracted to? What is there? Come on now. I'm shouting. My flatmates will be disturbed. But these are the questions. These are the questions. Are you a goat? Are you a dog that cannot control yourself? Come on now. So the idea of rape is terrible, especially when it comes to somebody who is still a child and then is now having to welcome the child. It is very terrible. And this is why I'm flogging this, because it is grievous. It is terrible. But what then comes the question is, do we try to now do another level of evil to counter an evil that has been done? Because I get it. As I said, God, please keep my children, my future children coming. Because I get the parents, the guardians of the child would not want the child to go through all of those things. Amen. Thank you, Ruth. Thank you. God will keep your own children too. Amen. The guardians of the children of the child that has been raped will not want, and then is pregnant, will not want the child to go through all of these things that we mentioned. And it's not, as a parent, it's not going to be easy to watch your child suffer now. As a parent, it's not going to be easy to watch your child suffer. And I can't even imagine it, but God forbid, let's say it's not me. There's another person that is not me, but there's another person that maybe his child goes raped. I promise you, if I was a person, although it would never be me, but if I was a person, if you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. Yes, mother is wrong, but in that moment, I will send the person to Jesus. I might just be at a vantage point and say, yeah, see after me, Lord Jesus, so that you don't go to hell. But you will meet the Lord. It's terrible, is what I'm saying. God, I beg. Again, I'm saying, mercy, Lord, help me, I beg. It's terrible. All right. But then the question now is the person that, the rape that has been done and everything that will come after it is going to be very, very evil. But what do we do in terms of evil? Do we do more evil? I guess what I'm saying. Do we do, because we've said that taking an innocent life is evil. Do we then carry the punishment that's supposed to be for the father of the child? That is the person who raped that young girl. Do we take what punishment? Do we punish the innocent child in the womb for the evil doings of his or her father? Because I get what I'm saying. Do we punish the child in the womb do we take his or her life for the evil doings of the rapist? And concerning the idea of what about trauma? What about the physical body of the child. Do you know that there is also trauma in abortion? Some of you were here when I was describing the process of abortion. It's not something that is not like pooing, it's not like you are going to the toilet. It's traumatic too. Many people have reported that they got abortions and weeks after they were regretting it. It does not just have impact on your body, it has impact on your mind as well. I'm telling you. Of course, you might not take my word for it because I don't even have a womb to start with. But women that went through abortion and regretted it after, it does some, and people who do not regret it, it strong their mind. Their mind became more strong to taking another person's life. What I'm saying is, either way, abortion does not leave you the same. And would you now let your 9-year-old, because yes, an evil has been done, and it's not easy. This thing is easier said than done many times. But the truth remains the truth. It's not easy to think about it, it's not easy to uphold it. But do you want, go through that with your 9-year-old as well? So you say that the pregnancy is going to be traumatic, but the abortion too is going to be as well. It's going to be psychologically traumatic to carry the baby. Taking the baby is also going to be traumatic for the 9-year-old. It's almost as if we want to counter an evil by doing more evil. It's almost as if we want to counter an evil by doing more evil. So you know, before I go on, I saw Praise join. Praise is my guy. Hi Praise, how are you doing? Can you say hi Praise? I know you probably not like me doing this. It's been a while. How are you doing? Hope you're good. Just say hi Praise for me. Comment in the chat. It's good to see you, my bro. I was even thinking of texting you like today, out like some hours ago, because I saw something on Facebook. I think it was your dad that posted. I was like, this is good news. Let me text you. Okay, good. Anyways, good to see you. The issue of rape, what was I saying? Rape, Abby. The issue of rape, especially when it comes to a 9-year-old or even anybody, an adult, whatever, is wrong. But we cannot now say like it's now good because it's now good to do evil to counter another evil, especially when the person on the other end of the abortion is an innocent baby. We can't do evil and say good should come. We can't do evil and say good should come. Because think about it, on the conscience of the baby, you are putting the fact that, oh my God, I killed a human being. Do you want a 9-year-old to carry that, like, to carry the idea for the rest of their lives? So I get it. My blood boils. my body gets hot when it comes to the idea of rape, because especially when it comes to children, like that is, of course, rape is bad in all cases, but especially when it comes to children, my mind cannot conceive it, because what is there that you are attracted to rape a child? To rape a child, what is there? So see, the conception of rape for a child is dangerously evil. But do we now say, okay, the child should now abort, the 9-year-old should abort the baby to avert all the things that we foresee that pregnancy is going to be done with the baby, with the 9-year-old? Do we do that? Because do we think that there's going to be enough evil to counter an evil that has already been done? And the question many times is, if it's the 9-year-old can carry the baby and then give it up for adoption. The 9-year-old does not have to look after a baby, because as I said, the 9-year-old is also a child. A child, I'm going to talk about what you just said, Favor. I'm getting there. All right. But concerning what you just said, Favor, let me just address it now. If the mother detests the child and then going to treat the child as hell, of course, understandable. With the psyche, even if it's not a 9-year-old, somebody gets raped, even an adult, there's of course every tendency that the psyche is affected. Not every tendency, it always does, right? It always does. And if a pregnancy comes from there, there is also a high chance. There's a chance that the mother will also resent the child because of the person who brought the child into the world, that is her rapist. And that is true. But do you know what we can't still do? We can't take another person's life. I mean, this is not going to change regardless of the situation. And of course, I'm talking like this. I'm not being insensitive, Favor, so that you don't think I'm being insensitive. Rape is wrong and is always going to be wrong. And as I said, I don't know if you were here when I said it, I think rape should get capital punishment. I think so. Because it's crazy. Like, it is scatter my head. I can't start, like, it's crazy. Saying she has said no, leave her alone. Leave her the heck alone. Rape is evil. But do you know what we can still do? Take an innocent life. Like, I don't know how much to say this, but then the solution to, the mother is going to treat the child as hell. Of course, that problem still exists, even though we can't. So we say we can't take the life of the baby, okay, but the child is going to go through suffering, especially coming from the mother. The mother can give the baby up for adoption. Do you know one thing? There's statistics that says that 1/3 of Gen Z, so Gen Zs are people, I think, between the age of, is it 12 now, or is it 14 to 28, I think. So 12 to 28, I am Gen Z, because I'm not up to 28, praise God. 1/3 of our generation has died due to abortion. So think of the millions and billions of people alive today, right? Think of the billions and millions of people who are alive today that are Gen Z, right? And think of 1/3. 1/3 of us, or divide it in half, divide that number in half. That half is going to be 1/3, because if they were with us, they would make up. It is the math, right? I'm doing the math in my head. Divide the number of Gen Zs alive today into half. That number has been given up in death to abortion. Are you with me? Has been given up to death in abortion. Now think about what I'm about to say next. Think how high that number is going to be. Statistics say that there are a lot of people, there are even more people that are waiting to adopt children than those who are willing to abort children. Let me say that again. Think of the high number of abortions and now compare the number of people who are waiting to adopt a child are much more than the number of people who are willing or who are looking for ways to abort their children. So the question of why I don't want the baby, there are people who do. There are many people who do. And the systems of adoption many times are not so easy. Maybe, of course, this is context specific, it's country specific. But I think in the US, if I'm not mistaken, it is not so easy to adopt a child. It's not. So people who are waiting to adopt are more people who maybe want children, or maybe have not been able to get children and are looking for a child and they want to adopt. They are much more than people who are willing to give up the child in abortion. See, these conversations are hard. These conversations are very emotional many times. And when I say emotional, I don't mean that derogatory, because some people talk about, oh, it's very emotional, as if it's an insult. It's not. For example, I've been emotional on Discord now this night talking about rape. It is scattering my head. All right. I've been emotional on Discord. It is part of us. Emotions are good. Are not always bad. Are good. Most times they're not. But then the question is, because the mother is going to hate the child for the rest of her life, does that mean she can kill the child? Because I can't go up to somebody and innocently kill, not innocently kill. I can't go somebody, the person is innocent, and then shoot the person just because I hate them. If that is true, that I cannot kill, say I hate Dami now, for example, on this call. I just hate his guts. Man of God, I don't hate you, okay? But let's just imagine that I just hate him, and then I just travel, I hunt him down wherever he is, and I shoot him in the head. I would be charged for murder. Do we not, why don't we apply the same principle when it comes to abortion? Because it is still the same principle. The mother hates the child, the mother gets rid of the child. It's the same thing. We just call it different names. One is called murder, one is called um planned parenthood or healthcare. But it's murder still. Hey, but do you get what I just said? Have I answered your question? Or do you, if you want us to continue the conversation, you can unmute your mic or put more in the tech in the chat function. Or let me know if it's something that you still need to think about, that's fine as well. But many of these things would not counter it. Now the question, goes,
I'm sorry. Sorry, the way I see
sorry, feel
it,
like,
it's looking
okay,
like it's looking like strictly black and white, and I feel like there are shades of gray in between. As someone who has gone through the experience of rape before, getting pregnant, there will be so much pressure on me as a Christian keep that child when I would not want to keep that child. To carry that child to full term, I want to carry that child to full term. I see it. Better for the child not to have been born. As someone has gone to experience, better for the child not to have been born because it's much more. You can't just get pregnant and say, okay, I want to carry the child to full term. There are so many issues. Someone that I know that there's also postpartum depression to take into consideration that may also
yeah,
that may also involve in postpartum psychosis.
yeah,
There's also the the part where people who seem to be well-meaning are like, oh, just forgive. It's so easy. You will love the
yeah,
child.
and
It's easy to do from it. It is not easy. It is
yeah, it
not
isn't.
easy. It's not black and white. There are very different shades of gray in between.
All right, thank you, Favor. And I mean, I agree with you largely on the idea that it's not easy. And I think it's something that I've tried to mention, especially when I was talking about the issue of rape and the 9-year-old. It is never easy. It isn't. All right. And I think maybe what you're still talking about is still the idea of rape, even for an adult. It is never easy. It isn't ever easy. Especially as I said, the psyche of the woman, whether young or old, just as you said now, is always going to be affected. Because concerning what you spoke about postpartum depression even happens to people who want the baby, right? Favor. Even people who were not raped still get postpartum depression. Not to talk of people who get pregnant in such a grievous and a very bad situation, such as rape. I guess what I'm saying. Not I'm what I'm saying is I'm agreeing with you. All right. That these things is and I said that earlier too, is easier said than done. I mentioned that earlier as well. It is easier said than done. But favor, you know, let me just go on. It's easier because it's not easy to carry the result, something that reminds you of your trauma, somebody getting raped. Like it scars people for life. Like for life. It scars them to the grave. Right, Favor? It scars them to the grave. It's not easy to carry that reminder, maybe during the pregnancy, for 9 months, to carry it to term. And that's why many people opt for abortion when it comes to the matter of rape. Because every single day you are waking up with the evidence of your trauma. You are trying to move on, but there's something growing in your belly that is reminding you of that moment and that day every single time. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a walk in the park, definitely. There's something growing in you that, first of all, is even making you uncomfortable. But aside that, is reminding you of your fear, of your dread, of the moment that you dread the most in your life. It's not, it's not easy. It's never easy. And anybody who says it's easy is probably does not know what they are saying or is lying. It's so easy to move on. No, now, don't talk like that. So I agree with all you have said, Favor. It's never easy. It's never easy. And so it's not, so the conversation is not, oh, it's so easy to just do the right thing. That is not the conversation. It's never, especially when it comes to the matter of rape, it's never easy. Never. Rape is one of the grievous things that can happen to anyone, but of course it happens mostly to, largely to women. It's never easy. Never. So it's not, so what I've been saying is not, also this is the right thing to do and everybody must just jump at it because it's so easy to do. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. And that's why I've hammered a lot of times that rape is a very grievous thing. And see, my heart goes to anyone who has ever my heart goes to anyone who has ever gone through that, gone through rape, right? And I want to say something, but being a Christian would not allow me to say it about people who rape people. So let me just leave it. All right? God will punish you. But that's not what I wanted to say. What I wanted to say has more weight than that. But see, rape is never okay, this is the right thing to do it. It's never that. And that has not been my intention in all I've been saying. But concerning the idea of what is, the good thing to do and the wrong thing to do, favor, it's not an easy truth, but it is the truth nonetheless. I think it is white or black. Are there difficult situations and very complex and hard situations that doing the right thing would be very hard and maybe near impossible to do? Yes. All right. But the conversation is, and that's why I've been asking the question, because see, it is hard to think about. I had this conversation with a friend months ago, a female friend. All right. And we had the conversation about rape and all of those things. And see, it was a very difficult conversation because talking as a man, I don't have any blood in it. I'm less likely to be raped compared to a woman. I cannot get pregnant. So I'm speaking as somebody with almost no skin in the game, if you get what I mean. So it's a very hard conversation to have both as a woman and as a man. But see, getting to the crux of it, do we do good? Do we do evil on top of evil? And of course, favor, hear me. I'm not saying this as because, oh, it's so easy to do. That's not what I'm saying. But at the end of everything, the baseline will still be because of the evil I'm feeling. Somebody got raped, because maybe I got raped. Imagine I don't have the facilities to be pregnant. I got pregnant, and there is every waking moment, every time I wake up, I'm reminded of the darkest moments of my life, the most dreadful moments of my life. I'm reminded of this every waking moment, right? That is, nobody deserves to live like that. Nobody deserves to live like that. Nobody does. So the conversation is not, is a walk in the park, the right thing, just do it, forget your problems. That's not it. It's never like that. When people get raped, as I said, and they carry the scar for life. That's why rape is such a very grievous matter. It's a very grievous matter. That's why it's a very heavy matter. But what we need to consider is, do I inflict more pain on top of my own pain? Or do I inflict? And of course, it's not an easy question to ask. It's not an easy question to consider. It's not an easy thing to go through. But do I do evil to another person because evil has been done to me? That is the question. Do I confer more evil on another person because evil has been done to me? And concerning the idea that, of course, every waking moment is going to be hell for the woman carrying the child to term, right? Let's say, there's something, she has community, people who have sense, who are not telling her, just shake it off. It's not, because rape is not a cut on the arm. It's not like you fell down and then you got injured. That's not what rape is. Rape is deeper than, much more exponentially deeper than that. So people should not treat it as or just walk it off. These are the things that we need to talk about. People should not treat rape as just walk it off, just you'll be fine, just forgive and move on. It's not like that though. It's never like that. So concerning the person, okay, yes, it is of course it is hell for the person. Let's now say maybe God intervenes, God helps the person, she'll be able to carry it to term. She has community that supports her with sense, as I said. Not people will be yarning nonsense. She has community that will support her, help her through all of the process. All right, help her through all of the process, and then she now carries it to term. But there is no way that she will be able to nurse that child for life, and that's understandable. All right, that's understandable that there is no way that they will be able to nurse the child for life. They can give, and that was what I was saying. Give it up, give the baby up for adoption. Not adopt the baby, but allow the baby to get adopted. Put him or her in a foster care. See, so concerning carrying the baby to term after rape, the conversation is not so easy to do. It's one of the hardest things to do in life. So the conversation is not that is the easy thing. Oh yeah, collect it and be going. Just do it, Nike. That's not the conversation. Is not that. It's going to be hard. It's going to be very, very infinitely hard to do. Infinitely hard to do. But what I'm saying, the conversation is still that we cannot go ahead to do evil on top of evil. Hey, what do you get me now? And of course, for the experiences that you probably know people who have gone through those things and all of those things, it is not the easier. It is easier said than done. I'm not saying it is the thank you, Favor. I'm not saying it is the most easy. It is the easiest thing to do. It is not one of the hardest things to do in life. But the question is, we cannot say it is right to do evil than to do good. And I could be wrong. Do I want to talk about it? I think that's just it. Let me just leave it. But I think that's what I think. And I think and this is what Praise just said in the chat. And I'll read. It says, I think we should always prioritize the person carrying the fetus and not the fetus. I think God wants us to bring to life someone we can take care and love. We are not necessarily doing evil to a fetus, I think. And this is something I started with, and this is why I even started with it. But one of the things first of all, before we even started going into the case-by-case scenario of rape, is to first of all set a baseline and understand that, see, the fetus is a human being too. Because the word fetus is derived from the Latin word, which means little baby. And the difference between me and the fetus in the womb is time. I am 20-something years old. The fetus is, I am 20-something years after conception. The fetus is maybe a few weeks or a few days after conception. But the fetus is a complete human being as I am. And when we say complete human being, we say, oh, but it's not breathing air yet. That is not what makes a complete human being. All right. What makes a complete human being is in an isolated environment. Do you have everything that makes up human? And when it comes to a fetus, the fetus does not. The reason why a fetus does not look like me is age. The reason why a fetus does not look like me, in fact, at some stages of pregnancy, it looks largely like I would coming out of the womb anyway. And we spoke about how, at some stages of pregnancy, there's stimuli. Speaking about how abortion is being done, they put the clamp through the vaginal canal of the baby, of the woman rather. And we see many times, when you watch the x-ray, the baby is trying to run away to avoid the clamp because it's feeling it. Because what abortion does is many times they dismember the baby, they pull out the arm, put it down, pull out the leg. I mentioned lifeaction.org, LIVE action.org, where you can watch abortion videos and see how it is done. It is gory. And when we look at that, you look at many of of these mid-term, late-term, early-term, in fact, abortion, you see arm and leg, you see head, because they have to crush the head of the baby and bring it out in pieces. The difference between me and that baby is time. What I'm saying is the fetus is a whole human being too. And coming, in a perspective of a believer, the fetus, if he's a whole human being, is in the image of God. And the conversation that comes up, oh, but they are not fully developed yet. As I said, fully developed is not what makes a human being. Because if you are not up to 25 years, guess what? You are not fully developed. Because your brain does not fully develop until you are 25. That's where I've forgotten the part of the brain now that doesn't fully develop until you're 25. I think is it your I've forgotten the name. But your brain doesn't develop until 25. So if it is fully developed that we argue for, then anybody under 25 can be necessarily be killed. And we say we are not doing evil. The conversation is, do we think that, do we evaluate or value rather the fetus in the womb as a complete human being? That is the question. Because what I said earlier as well is the idea of when it comes to abortion, the reason why we say, oh, it's just a clump of cells, it's just a fetus, it's not a human being yet. The reason why we use those words is because we know that I can't just go out and you hear stories of people, of serial killers, or people who have people locked up in their basements and then dismember them limb by limb, arm separate, leg separate, head, private parts, internal organs, and then they dismember, and then you hear those kind of stories, and then you feel something that this is wrong. There's a gut feeling that this kind of thing is wrong. There is a conscience wired in every one of us that we know that doing another innocent human being that level of harm is wrong. So we have conscience, and that is why if you hear a particular news, if it is framed in a particular way, you feel bad that somebody was, what I just said now. Some people might hear it and then feel, something will shrink in them a bit. It's because there's something in you that knows that treating a human being like this is wrong. That knows that treating a human being like this is wrong. But then the conversation today is framed in a way that waters down the value of the humans who are being affected. It says, oh, it's just a clump of cells. It's not just a human being yet. They are not fully developed yet, so they are not a person. It's just a fetus. But do you know what else is a clump of cells? I said this earlier. Me. I am a clump of cells. The only thing, and of course, when we talk about clump of cells, if we are speaking of a blob, that does not even apply to 98% of the stages of pregnancy. It doesn't. Or 99 self. It doesn't. The difference between me, as I said, because I am a clump of cells. Everybody on this call are clumps of cells. We are made up of cells. The only difference is now, in fact, not just the only difference, because even babies in the womb, their cells are specialized very early on. Very early on. But I have specialized cells and I'm awake. That's the only difference. That's the only difference. I am a clump of cells as well, if that is the definition. So what I'm saying, the conversation tends to water down the value of who is being affected in abortion. It always tends to water it down. So, and that is why it now becomes very much rapidly easier to want to commit those things. It's not a human being yet. It's just a fetus. It's just a clump of cells. So I can do whatever I want to do. I can get rid of it when I want to get rid of it. When I want, and because I'm saying the word conversation a lot, but it is a conversation. The conversation on abortion largely has little to do. And when I say I don't mean it does not affect these people. The rape conversation or the life of the mother and the child being in danger conversation. I'll still talk about that. It doesn't mean it doesn't affect these people. But if we compare the people who are victims of rape or have medical issues and every other person on that side, these two sites are less than 1%. I think of the thousands of abortions that are being done in the world today, they are less than 1% of the entire numbers. And this is why the other side is that much. And of course, we've spoken about it's not the easiest thing to do. But if we evaluate and value the life of the child in the womb as a complete human being who is made in the image of God and has value, then it should be weightier. The numbers would not be that great. Because the numbers are that great because we have watered the idea of values so much down. We have. So it's not a child, it's just a clump of cells. It's easier to get rid of a clump of cells now. What value is a clump of cells to me? Because it's not a human being yet. So you don't feel that, oh, I'm doing something wrong. You don't feel it. You never do. Are you guys what I'm saying? Are you guessing what I'm saying, please? Do you see what I'm trying to say now? Because the fetus is a human being. Killing an innocent human being is always going to be wrong. It's always, regardless of their stages of growth and development. Regardless of their stages of growth and development. I don't know, would you, if you want to say something on that, please, or if you get me now. I'm trying to wait for praise. Maybe press is typing. All right, but the conversation we should have first, and which is what I started with, is that the person in the womb is imago Dei, is in the image of God, and that person has value. If I cannot just do anything I want to somebody who is walking outside of the womb, an adult, I cannot, or even a baby. I'll talk about health issue, praise. But you have not answered my question. Do you get what I'm saying? I'll speak about that. But what was I saying? Yeah, if I cannot just do anything to a grown adult, because the person is human. And concerning, I think that's the only, because let me just go into that, because I think that's the only scenario that I think we haven't touched. I mean, in general issues. What if the life of the mother is in danger? Now, again, like rape, this is also another difficult conversation to have. All right. This is also another difficult conversation to have. What if the life of the mother is in danger? What if carrying the baby to term, right, is going to end the baby? This is my stance. I think that, yeah, like in an ectopic pregnancy, exactly. This is my stance, right? I think that, of course, medical science is not perfect yet. And this, I think, I'm just going to go on to explain what I'm saying. This is my stance. I think that going on the process of abortion, the way abortion is done, right? It always guarantees 100% every time. It guarantees the death of the baby. Follow me. The way abortion, and of course, killing an innocent person, as I said, is wrong and is always going to be wrong. And the way abortion is done today, it always guarantees the death of the baby. Think about it. They go through the canal and dismember the baby inside the womb and then bring the baby out in parts. So crush the head, take it out in pieces, crush the arms and the legs, take it out in pieces. All right. Is 100% death rate for the baby. That the baby is going to die. And there are of course, conversations on, there are some carrying out some procedures of abortion where the baby does not necessarily die, a few of them, but they come out dismembered. But of course, the goal, the intent of abortion, many times those are outliers, because the intent of abortion, the foremost intent is to end the life of the baby. Is to end the life of the baby. All right. So what happens when the life of the mother is in danger? This is what I think. I don't think the way abortion is done is always medically necessary. Why? Because if, for example, in an ectopic pregnancy, the mother carrying the baby to term is going to kill the mother, the life of the mother is in danger. What do? We do the thing that I think is the best case scenario, where the chances of very early delivery, so you do a C-section maybe at 24 weeks, like very early in the pregnancy, the chances of the baby dying are not 100% in that scenario, because we have situations where, and of course with advances in medical science today, where you deliver a baby very like prematurely, right? And many people are living, walking, breathing, looking healthy today that were premature births. All right. So I would argue that in cases like this, the way abortion is done, that process is never medically necessary. Dismembering, or with the intent that the idea is to kill the baby, is never that. What I would advise, the conditions that come together that I think are maximally profitable for both the mother and the child, is to get rid of the baby in the way that it is not, the intent is not to kill the baby. So of course we have the responsibility, because both people are human beings, both people are equally valuable. Let's keep that in mind. They are equally valuable. So how do we arrive at a situation that maximally profits everybody? This is what I think. There are many people who have different school of thought, but this is what I think. And actually, of course, my bases are based on what the word of God says about the value of human life. Get an early delivery. Get the baby out of the womb. You are not doing an early C-section, however early it is. All right, because medical science is advancing. This thing I'm describing, the success rate is going to be near 100%. Where in fact we are having artificial wombs now, that you don't even have to implant it to the womb. The baby never has to develop inside the woman's stomach. I guess what I'm saying. So if those cases exist, there's an ectopic pregnancy, the baby is developing outside of the womb, right? Or whatever health issue where the woman's life is in danger. Let us have a scenario where we are maximizing the chances that we have. We are saving the life of the woman, because we are saving the life of the woman. The woman does not have to die, but we're also taking the path that gives the baby a chance to live. But, right? Can there be casualty? Yes. And of course, because of the limits in medical science today, but we are giving the baby a chance. So we are not directly going to end the life of the baby. That's going to be, if the baby does die, right, it's going to be an unfortunate result, but it's not guaranteed that the baby is going to die. In fact, we are trying to save the baby. I don't know, do you guys get what I'm trying to say now? So coming to now say, the result or the solution is not always abortion, and it's never even supposed to be abortion, in my opinion, right? Because there are other medical routes that we can take that will maximize the life of the mother and the life of the baby. And you don't have to take my word for it. You can look it up yourself. You can look up medical procedures in this like yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. But I think there are routes that we can take that doesn't necessarily have to end the life of the baby. There are routes that we can take that doesn't necessarily have to end the life of the baby. And that, I think, is dumb, because both parties, we don't trade lives. We don't say one person is important than the other. I don't think so. All right. But of course, by all means, save the life of the mother, but don't do it in a way that your intent, your direct result of that is automatic end of the life of the baby. Give the baby a chance. give the baby a chance. Have I answered the question? Praise and favor. And everybody. Do we have any other, you know, question on abortion? Because see, the there was something I saw. Was it last week? Or today is Friday. Was it early this week? Maybe. You guys are not responding to me. Yeah, favor and praise. Do you get what I said? All right, Ruth. Favor and praise. Thank you, Ruth. I don't know if you get what I said about the life of the mother being in danger. But while I wait for you, I saw something. Was it last week or early this week? I don't remember. I thought early this week or last week. And it was, you know, there was, I think they were giving the people who went for abortion, there's this institution in the US for abortion, but I don't know if this happened in the US or not. But people who went for abortion, they give them an option of, don't terminate the baby. Of course, we can take the baby out of your womb alive, insert the baby into, I don't know if they call it an incubator or an artificial womb, and then let the baby live. And there were, I saw this, I think on Instagram, I don't know how true it is, but from the things I've seen in pop culture, it's very likely it's true. But again, I'm not 100% sure. But there were conversations about there were people who were saying that, they would not want that to happen, that they necessarily want the life and the pregnancy to be terminated, not just the pregnancy now, the baby should die. The reason I'm saying this is when we look, especially with the statistic and this conversation, I see a lot of things. The abolitionists on, people who are working against abolishing things like slavery, things like abortion. Favor and praise, you're not responding to me. I want to hear your responses. This is why we're having this conversation, so that we can see each other's minds. All right. If you don't agree with me too, that's your response. It's fine. All right. You don't have to agree with me here and now. It's fine. I just want to know what you think.
I have something to say concerning the earlier one about preserving the life of the mother and the child, where in the cases where pregnancy, where carrying the child to term endanger the mother's life. Now,
yeah,
it is something I'm very much interested in, something I've read about, read papers, research papers, and such procedures are very, very expensive. Even places like the US, they don't have a healthcare system that has the interest of the patient in mind.
Right.
I just saw a receipt. I'm on a Reddit community, and I saw a receipt of someone who gave birth. She was happy and was about $30,000 or so. With the current with the current economic state of the world, and that's just
healthcare in
with
the US is crazy expensive.
Was a normal vaginal birth where everything went simple. She had no complications. Now imagine in the case of their complications, or the woman has an ectopic pregnancy. She has been coming to the hospital for visits just to see if there's anything that could be done, and she has had previous children. Right, this procedure is very, very expensive. She has to put in mind the money at hand, the money she put aside for the future of the children she already has on ground. Will we now say that abortion is necessary? And also another case of where the child dies in the womb and it needs to be removed through abortion. This woman is a Christian. Her spouse and her parents were like, no, still carry the child to them, and she ended up delivering a dead child. She was
The child can't go to term now. The child is dead. The child is not growing anymore. Well,
Exactly.
sorry
And it
go
was
on.
it was so, and I could, I was having conversations with people, online on, when they were arguing on, oh, this is one of the reasons why, abortion should be justified in this case, even in the case where, the procedure is too expensive. If I pay for this procedure to, preserve the child baby, because not if I don't want to, I don't love the child, I don't want to keep the child. I love the
Yeah.
child. You get, if I pay for this procedure, I'm going to go into debt.
Mm-hmm.
My quality of life, the quality of life of the children that I have on ground are going to be reduced. What should I do? Is abortion justified or not? Is it a case of, oh, abortion is not justified, but God is still understand?
That's a very beautiful question, Favor. Very beautiful question. And cost of healthcare is something that is, especially when you go into the US, because what you just said, I believe it's in the US. The currency you mentioned, even healthcare in the US is crazy expensive, like crazy expensive. And I've heard of situations like you just described, people go and just give birth, and then they are going on with basic, they are going on with debt. It's crazy to think about, because abortion is a cheaper option. And this is the interesting thing to think about. When you go to Planned Parenthood, right? Um, Planned Parenthood. Okay, praise, I'm coming. Planned Parenthood in the US is the same country, so it's the same environment. Planned Parenthood in the US is sponsored. So Planned Parenthood is an institution, I mentioned them earlier, is an institution where they like give people who want to do abortions cheaply. And of course, there are even reports that people in Planned Parenthood, they actually sell the parts of the kids. But there are scandals that they have exposed Planned Parenthood for those things. And that's why in some states in the US, they have lost their funding. And this is where I'm even going. There are funds that are being channeled to Planned Parenthood, an institution that is directed for abortion. All right. The reason there are funds that are being pumped towards those areas. And we have countries where healthcare in those countries are not as crazily high as other countries. So come to, especially in a country that's taking tax, come to the UK, for example. The UK healthcare, the UK. I'm not a citizen, of course, but I'm in the UK, and the healthcare in the UK is not as expensive as healthcare in the US. And some of the things that contribute to it is more funds from the government is going towards healthcare in the UK than is probably going in the US. Because think about it, an avenue for abortion in the US is cheaper to do an abortion than to get medical care for a pregnancy. It's way cheaper. Why? Because Planned Parenthood, the name of the organization, has funding. It has funding, governmental backed funding. I'm in the UK. I'm an immigrant. I'm not a citizen. There are certain surcharges just because I am an immigrant for the number of years I will spend that I will pay to the National Health Services in the UK. Now, that money, it doesn't matter whether I fall sick in the number of years I'm in the UK for, it doesn't matter whether I use their services or I've paid that money. Only on rare occasions do they give people their money back, on rare occasions. Now, of course, where would all those money go? It will go to the reason why there's cheaper healthcare in the UK. And there are even despite the fact there are some free services I have because of the money I paid, but despite the fact that if I want to do some more advanced things, so maybe I want a surgery, I will probably still have to pay. I was talking to a doctor friend on Friday last week, and we're talking about some things, and I was asking him, okay, if I want to do this, why need to pay? Say yes. I was like, after all the hundreds of pounds I paid for immigration health surcharge, what I'm saying is this thing that I just described are a systemic flaws in countries that they exist that do not really place value. And again, notice how all I'm saying I've been falling back on the idea of value. Do not really place value on making healthcare easy, but they are making abortion easy. Why? Because there's no value. Now, in the situation, the circumstance that what do we now do? So I'm in this country, the system is not favoring me, and I have seen a bill as like that too. They go to just to give birth, and then you are going on with a lot of debits, thousands of dollars, because you brought a child into the world. What do I do? I don't have this money. Do I go to Planned Parenthood where it is cheaper to get rid of the baby? Or do I do what I think is right, but fall into debt? What do I do? See, I think what we do is, if there is now another scenario that now comes to par with the conversation on rape, because I think rape is probably even more grievous and maybe more difficult than this one. And what the conclusion of our conversation on rape is, do we do more evil on top of evil? And I guess our conclusion was no. And this is another difficult, and of course, the difficulty is not the person's fault. Of course, the rape one is also not the person's fault. It's a systemic flaw when it comes to this bill one. All right. What do we do? I think if it's a systemic flaw, we need to, of course, that's even a wider conversation. But in the moment, there might not be many options. And this is why these conversations are hard, because when we come to scenario questions, the options might be limited in many scenarios. What do we do when the options are limited? Whatever the issue is, I think the conversation still needs to come to the fore. Okay, with my situation, with my circumstance, would I do evil in this case? And would evil again, it's sounding harsh calling it evil, but I think that's what it is. It's calling, it's giving it the name that it has. Would this be justified even then? And I think, of course, it is difficult. It's not the best position to put to be in. I'm going to rake in debt on myself if I do this, right? But then if there's a question of, what am I going to do? Do I do what I know is wrong, or do I do what I know is right? It's a difficult thing to say, but the baseline of it is we can't do more evil despite the difficult situation. I think that's how I can answer that question. We can't do evil despite the difficult situation. Now, do we have a solution to the woman's problem? Maybe not necessarily, because we don't particularly know the circumstance that the person might be in. No, we know the circumstance the person might be in. We don't know other circumstances that are surrounding those things. And for those kind of things, I think it's crazy to have such a developed country like the US, and then the health care is the price for healthcare is that high. I think it's crazy, right? There should be systemic reforms that makes healthcare cheaper, at least the minimum for its citizens, at least like bare minimum for its citizens. There should be systemic reforms, and of course, there are a lot of people back organizations who are who are pushing these conversations in the UK. There are, as I said, Planned Parenthood, the institution responsible for abortion, has lost its funding in some states in the US. Why? Because some organizations like Students for Life.org, studentsforlife.org, you can check them on Instagram. They led the conversation on abortion is wrong. So Planned Parenthood lost their funding in some states in the US. Um, some organizations are abolitionists. They are pushing, I've forgotten the name of. Is this one church based like this? Also in the US, they go to Planned Parenthood people, speak to people who want to go and get abortion and help them. So why are you getting an abortion? No, I can't afford it. I don't have money. This. Maybe I don't have money for rent. They put them in houses. They take care of them. If you don't want the baby after, they take care of them to term. Maybe set up businesses, all of those things. They help those people. So the solution to these circumstances are people rising up to do things like this. So they understand what's the reason for you getting an abortion now? Is money. They take care of them. It's, oh, I just want to do it. They have conversations with you. Oh, maybe it's rape. They help, the community thing I spoke about, give you a community, but they are stepping up to the gaps and to the grievous things in societies that make conversations like this very difficult to help people. And I think, it is things like this, conversations of how do we step up to help the plague, to help the dents in our structures of society, to help people who are in these kinds of difficult situations. Because, so that they don't do what is wrong, or we help them in the process, on their way to do wrong, and help them. So it's money. They give them, set them up nicely, give them accommodation. I see things like that, and they've helped hundreds of mothers, hundreds in the US. There are different avenues like that. Of course, I'm using the US because that is where these conversations are most rampant. There are different avenues like that. Students for Life, abolitionists, I've forgotten the name of this church. Well, most of them are Christian based anyway. I'm saying church based for this one because I think they want somebody that is the face of this, a pastor, but I don't remember the name now. But a lot of them are stepping up, and I think that is going to be. There's, of course, it has to be reforms from the government, but people who will lead that conversation are people like us, because it is very easy when we can always easily tilt towards the idea of, oh, the solution is always abortion, and sometimes it looks like that. But I think there's going to be there's going to be at least a resistance when we understand that, see, this person in the womb is as valuable as I am. Again, value. It's as valuable as I am. And of course, people should step up, influence the government, and help people as much as we can in the circumstances that they will find themselves in. In the circumstances that will find themselves in. All right. And I don't know if I answered the question, Favor, let me know. But then, what if, let's say it's not possible, concerning possible to remove the child early, and it's also bad for the woman to give birth? What else? With this, thank you, Favor. With the scenario you just described, Chris, I don't think this scenario does not also accommodate abortion. Because if it is not possible to remove the child, it will not be possible to abort the child either. If it's not possible to remove the child, early birth, because there's going to be vaginal extraction because vaginal birth, let me say, because there are no contractions yet. But if it's not possible to remove the child early, it wouldn't be possible to also commit an abortion. All right. So this scenario is almost like a fix. It's almost like a fixed fix where like a check, like a what's that chess term? A stalemate. where we can't really do anything. Nobody can move. We can't move forward. We can't move backward. And if it's not possible to move the child and you can't get an abortion, then the woman is going to die. All right. But of course, medically is most. I don't think it's ever the case. One of those things would be possible. Either you're able to give birth, but I think it's always possible. I could be wrong, but I think it's always possible to remove the child one way or the other. Always. Always. And again, there's always this is that we always want to tilt towards abortion. And this is the conversation, concerning what I was because I was saying something earlier, when Fofevo responded that there are people who they don't really, most of them is not because they just, some people just because they don't want the pregnancy, but some people actually fantasize. I've seen many people did this, like there are people I've seen that they say they are fantasizing about having an abortion. So think about it. Many people tried to get children, right? Husband and wife, they try because they're looking for a child. This person, the reason why they are trying for a child is not because they want a child, just because they want to have an experience of how it feels to have an abortion. Think about how crazy that is. And see, we are seeing a lot of these things. Why? Because it is being watered down, the value of the life of the baby. And that is why it's always easy in conversations like this to always tilt towards abortion, right? It's always easy to, I don't have money, abortion. And of course, I'm not watering down those scenarios, all right? I've said this like a million times tonight. All of those things are valid. I started saying these things. I eventually even expanded on this. All of these conversations are valid. But the reason why it's always easier to tilt towards ending another person's life is because there's in the majority of the conversation for abortion, the value of the life has been watered down. That is the problem. That is the problem. And the reason why the reason why a lot of people are hard on abortion is not because of all these nuances. Of course, the nuances, there are solutions to it, all right? We've spoken about some of them. But the reason why a lot of people are loud on abortion, against. The reason why some of these people, liveaction.org, I think liveaction.org also does some things for people who have difficult situations with abortion. Liveaction.org, Students for Life, abolitionists movement, what else? The church one, I don't remember their names now. The reason why people are loud on moving against abortion is because, think about it, a third of our generation are not here with us today because a lot of people, think about it, the difficult situations are less than 1%. The rest, 99.9%, the rest, the lot of other people, I just don't want the child. I guess what I'm saying. And why I just don't want the child, let's get an abortion, my body, my choice. But it's not your choice if somebody's life is also in danger. I don't say my body, my choice, just because my flatmate is irritating me and then go and shoot them in the head because they are choking up my space. It's my body, my choice. I need more space. Like, it is the same principle. And of course, somebody might be watching this and be thinking it's not the same. It is. It is. The conversation is always, this baby is going to inconvenience me in one way or the other, so it's better to just end the life and get rid of it. It is the same thing. It is the same thing. You can't end an innocent life unjustly just because you want to. You cannot. The life has value. The child in the womb is no different than me, except for time. Except for time. And there are conversations on that people, and which is I don't know, but there are people who want to counter, argue, or do things contrary to abortion and say, oh, the child in the womb might develop the cure for cancer, might be exceptional sciences that will help humanity. That is true. It's possible. But the reason why abortion is wrong is not because of that. Because there's an equal chance. There's a chance that the child might become Adolf Hitler too. But regardless of the outcome of the life of the child in the womb in that moment is innocent. And the child is not on us. I don't have the right to take another person's life unjustly. I do not have that right. I do not have that right. Not today, not ever. I do not have that right. As you see, the conversation on abortion, majorly, generally, I think it's white and black. Life is always wrong to take a life. All right. I would not have the right to take an innocent life because the innocent life is like me, is a magody. But when we come to the nuances, the scenario of rape, of health of the mother, those very narrow and difficult conversations, the major idea would still be the same. But then it's going to be difficult. It is a very, and that's why my blood boils when it comes to the idea of rape, especially when it comes to children or rape generally self. The conversations would be difficult, but at the base of it, despite being difficult, especially as believers, despite being difficult, do we hold on to truth? Do we hold on to what we know is right? Do we hold on to the idea that this person in the womb is imago, is in the image of God? Do I hold on to that value? Because we always, as I said, I've said this, and we're wrapping up now because we have 3 minutes on the clock, but I've said this like a million times on this call as well. The reason why we have a high level of this kind of conversation, I am higher. This guy, how you doing? Is that you? Yeah. The reason why we have this level of conversation, right, on abortion is because the value of the life of the person in the womb has been watered down. And that's why it's always easy at any order on the way. We always drive towards abortion. Any small thing like this is abortion. And of course, the big things as well. I'm not I'm not watching down the rape conversation. All right. But it's always easy to, even in those difficult conversations, it's always easy to steer the wheel towards abortion. Why? Because there's pop culture has watered down the value of the baby in the womb. So it's not a baby, is a fetus. But fetus means little baby. It's just a clump of cells. Even me, like this, I'm a clump of cells. It's not developed yet. Do you think somebody under 25 is developed? No, now. So if it's developed, then everybody under 25, I can just kill them willingly, since they are not human beings until they are fully developed, because everybody under 25 is not fully developed yet. Your brain is not fully developed yet. So development cannot be an argument in that case. All right. Development cannot be an argument in that case. I can't stress it more than that, to be honest. We've had almost 2 hours of conversation about abortion, and thank you everyone for engaging. Favor, praise, for airing your views. The reason why we're having conversations like this is so that we can help ourselves, so that we can see eye to eye, especially what is the stance of the Lord on matters like this. All right. Conversations like this need to be had, because if life is valuable, thank you so much thank you for your engagement as well. Really appreciate, and your honesty too. Thank you. Conversations like this need to be had, because these are the level of the conversation on abortion in our generation today is, think about it, 1/3 of our generation is not here. 1/3. 1/3. Like, people are dying and we don't even know. And we don't. Somebody said, the one of the most unsafe places for a young person or a young black person today is in the mother's womb. Why? Because statistically, 1/3 of us are not here. They are not here. So these conversations need to be had, because how big or how large of value we place on life is going to affect humanity in the long run. It's going to affect humanity. And I can say this is a long stretch, but we can end ourselves. But God is wise, right? Following God's plan is always wisdom. It's always wisdom. Following God's plan is always wisdom.